down! We gotta deposit it to get the performance bonus.
Right, I just noticed something else.
Elf down! We gotta deposit to get the performance bonus.
All right. First of all, let's just get this out of the way. Obviously, this isn't to do with the video, but we didn't want to make it a news video, but we feel like it's worth talking about. And this is that there might have been a leak. In
an actual leak,
Christmas
by the way.
content. Yeah, like an actual unofficial. Some guy accidentally found this while messing around in the sandbox, as it says, and it might be from the Christmas event. However, it is also of note that this is clearly modded, so you know.
Yeah, on the modded thing, it's tagged as modded gameplay, but it's obviously modded because that's the sandbox mod, right?
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that elves are part of the mod, but they could be still. That's the thing.
Well, that's the thing. Is just to. You know, I mean, there's a lot to take in, but we're not going to go into it too deeply. But obviously, this implies that the Christmas event or Christmas like in-game performance bonus thing is going to be like hunting and capturing a little elf that seems to have stolen a candy cane, which, if true, is pretty funny. Also, though, it would be very out of place. Because obviously they've established many times that they're not fond of humanoid things, hunting humanoid enemies down.
Exactly. But they also wouldn't implement a humanoid enemy and have it just... You kill it, but it just goes stiff. It doesn't die.
I would argue that this being the canonical elf in the series would bring a lot of anger to some people. You know, they're instead of being like the overlords that created the rival robots, they are little mischievous sprites. That steal our candy canes. And there's obviously, you know, you can say what you want, that maybe they pieced together these things and that he made this mod. But there's the voice line, which is pretty important. But in him pinging it twice, I feel like he might have just cut together some voice lines. They used elf from like an insult and then used the
problem with that is though, because there's things that make it seem a little bit incomplete, like the fact that there's no real death animation and there's only one voice line. That's like, oh, that's because he put it together, but that's also could be used as reasoning for why that's why it's in the state that it is, because it's not finished yet.
Which is why I feel like we wanted to inform you of this. Maybe go on the Reddit, look at it yourself. But currently, I do feel it's like maybe 50-50. Like, it doesn't feel that unusual if they did add it to the game. But there's also some things that are an issue with it. I mean, if they were like gnomes, then I'd be like, sure. Because first of all, it looks like a gnome. And then, you know, gnomes in the universe looking like that would be fine. But elves? These are elves?
Yeah, unless it is actually a robot, because they wouldn't have a humanoid creature that you just can completely obliterate. You know. Yeah,
it just
like a Christmas toy.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if it was like a gnome, then obviously it is like made of whatever gnomes are made out of, like
porcelain. A real gnome is made of porcelain.
Porcelain. So then you like, I don't know, maybe the candy cane gives them life or something like that.
But either way, I'm not sure they want to add actual humanoid creatures that you just capture.
No, although obviously we would like that, but they have shown a pretty strong resistance to that idea. But it's just interesting that there are so many pros and cons, and it feels like something they would add, but it doesn't feel quite like something they would add. Like, it's not polished. Obviously, it's not polished to the point, but it also feels a bit weird. Like, these aren't elves. I think they would know that. But I don't know. I think this is interesting, which is why I think it was worth bringing attention at the beginning of this video.
You can believe it or you can't.
Either way, we know about it and we've covered it. Just in case it turned out to be true, we were the first to talk about it. But if it's completely lies, then we didn't make a whole news video about it. So this is the middle ground of make up your mind. Don't just assume that it is because we kind of think it is or isn't. Like,
don't at me.
Not that we have like an at on anything
on YouTube.
Can you at? I guess you can.
Have you seen this? They added it recently. It's like if you go onto someone's channel under their names, like an at with them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't like it.
Okay, so you can ask, just don't.
Yeah, just don't.
Yeah, we probably won't respond. But yeah.
You'll just like the comment or whatever.
Now I think we're going to be moving on to our regularly scheduled content.
Regularly scheduled, by which we mean
completely new.
Random.
yeah, never done before on this channel. Maybe not ever. I'm not sure.
I haven't seen it before. For Deep Rock. I might be sure I've seen it for anything else, but I'm sure it's happened for other things. I don't think we're pioneers of literally this entire type of content.
No, not at all this type of content. But
we're
for Deep Rock,
at bad reviews.
Yeah,
making fun of them most likely.
I think it's worth noting. I'm not sure what your screen's capturing or not, but the overall reviews overwhelmingly positive. Let's get this out of the way. Obviously, Deep Rock is a very well regarded game. Everyone fucking loves it. Everyone that plays it loves it. It's a really good game. But there are some people that
97% of the 132,000 user reviews for this game are positive.
Exactly. We're going to be looking at the 3%? Probably not all of them, but
no. See, there was some preparation going into this. I needed to look at what made the most sense for when it came to filters. Just looking at whatever it was before I filtered it to recent wasn't very useful. It was much more, just not as stupid, basically. Because this video wasn't going to. I don't think there's much point doing this if we're not looking at sort of the stupid ones. I feel like you understand what I mean. We're sort of here to make fun of people who are just like. And I don't think anyone will have a problem with this because I'm sure anyone watching this video loves Deep Rock. And so you see people with their sort of misguided opinions. Not shitting on the people, more so the opinions, though. I don't want to be calling people out. Yeah. But it's also a public forum, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, and the fact that they had the gall to voice their opinions, despite how wrong they are.
Yeah. But it's I looked at recent, I thought, this suits what I want to do much better. Yeah.
All right, then. I guess there's only one way to just start. Let's let's not say the name of the person. Obviously it's there, but let's just not put it out.
No, but like I said, it is a public forum, so which is why you can get away. I don't like using that word, but it's fine.
Exploit their terrible opinions.
This was better 2 years ago.
This is very recent, right? That's today, isn't it?
That is today. A lot of days might actually be today. Yeah.
All right, 2 years ago, what was that? That was when it released, right? That was launch.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is just wrong, just objectively. So we can say what we will about the seasonal updates, but 2 years ago deletes the game modes and maps, and they were amazing.
It does.
And so he is just objectively right. There's just more stuff, better content, and
Deep Rock, it had a certain atmosphere at one point, but it was before that. I think the game is objectively better now than it was 2 years ago, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago there was an atmosphere to it, an unfinished atmosphere, I should point out.
Yeah,
that has probably been lost over time. I do have nostalgia for, but the game should have evolved from then, and it has.
Yeah,
2 years ago is objectively not in a worse place necessarily, but it's better now. It's more thorough. More depth.
Yeah, 4 years ago, the game is about as rough and as tatters as the things in the game, as rusted and all that. It is pretty rough around the edges. But now it's chic, it's smooth,
chic.
It runs well.
Chic.
What,
Zelda's alter ego?
I never got that. No, chic's a thing, I think.
No, I don't know. Maybe. I don't.
All right.
Chances are no, because I haven't heard of it.
All right.
Yeah.
The best, I think the next one is the interesting thing is that I don't think many people have valid criticism, so I'm not going to see how many of those that we're actually going to see. But obviously, does that say his game sucks?
Yeah, it says his game sucks. I'm just trying to figure out who he is. Obviously, it's typo, but it's a really funny typo because it's such a simple word. And actually, it's also spelled correctly as the word his, so it's just really confusing.
I think it's something we ignored because we don't really go on Steam often, but the hours on it has it on there. And this person spent 6 hours on the game.
8, yeah,
which,
8.
I get 8, I'm far too far away to see that kind of stuff. But I think that is a reasonable amount of time to say that this ain't my type of game, right? Like, I think that
some game stories are shorter than that.
Exactly. But like, yeah, that's a reasonable amount of time to use like all the characters and gauge the fact that it ain't for you, right? It's not the right type of game. Which I guess it will go about better than it was 2 years ago. That person has like what 16.5 hours.
13.5.
13. How did he know what it was like 2 years ago? Unless he's got a new account.
Well,
like,
yeah, he must do.
Yeah, but
Oh, well,
yeah, I don't
know. But this guy has got 70.7 hours, and his review is sex.
Yeah, and one person found that helpful.
It is helpful.
Which I think, yeah.
I just don't know what to take from reviews like this. It's just like, what's the point of your review?
Well, let's be honest, right?
And why do you hate it after playing for 70 hours?
If he wanted his review to be seen, the best way of doing that would be to put not recommended because of how few people there is there. So if he wanted people to see him type sex, then boom, here it is for the world to see, right? Like, so I think he won, Harry. I think it's all according to plan.
Damn it! He beat us. He won.
Yeah. Plus, 70 hours on record. He clearly doesn't hate the game. He doesn't say that he does either.
He's just a silly little goofball.
He's just a little goofy fella who says sex. Unlike the next one that I can't see much, but we're going to scroll down. There's actual text here.
It's a duo of sentences. It's not a paragraph. Oh, it's 3 sentences.
Right.
Damn. Game gets repetitive very quickly and needs way more variety of weapons and stuff to play with. Also, the grind is so much. I played for 38 hours just to get one character to max level. You did not play for 38 hours. 37.9 hours.
Actually, that doesn't feel right. For one character to 20.
Well, keep in mind he's probably playing low difficulties. He's just started, so he might be failing a fair bit as well.
Needs way more variety of weapons.
Tyler, he's probably just looking at his hours on record and using that. He probably didn't actually spend 38 hours in mission.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus, I think this is an example of clearly someone that just ain't wired for this game.
And that's fair, because it is repetitive.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And compared to other games, the variety of weapons technically is very limited, right? Like, obviously, you can only really use 3 different weapons at a time. Or a choice of like 3, or I guess 6 per character. But like, compare that to like COD or like Battlefield or whatever, and you got like 50 to 60, or probably not the recent ones. But like, if you look at it in a like I don't know, a lens, then technically, yeah, there isn't that much variety in the amount of guns, but obviously it's more than that. But this person probably hasn't noticed it, considering he spent all this time just to get character to max level, which I realize he's now saying max level. Does that mean he somehow got someone
promotion? First promotion.
I assume so. Yeah.
Right.
Which
what other could it be? One class to max level. Exactly.
But
it's not that though, is it? It's not.
No. But yeah, I think obviously it shows that, I don't know, it obviously wasn't his type of game, but literally if he just played a little bit more and started getting overclocks, then he probably wouldn't say that there was so little variety and stuff to play with, right? Because he would have the stuff to play with. That's kind of what overclocks were. But yeah, I mean, he only quit like yesterday, so maybe he just needs to come back just for like an hour, maybe just get an overclock. That might work.
Put those that last minute in to actually get to 38 hours.
Yeah, but I don't know. I do think that the slow progression of getting stuff at the beginning might be a bit too slow for new people. I mean, it makes sense considering the grand scheme of the games. Like that's about the speed of which you'll get everything. But I don't know.
But when it comes to like the gameplay content, like the stuff that you play, the only restriction is that there's no restrictions anymore, because it was Industrial Sabotage. You had to do that assignment to get it, but now it's a normal mission. There's no restrictions on the gameplay stuff, so you can encounter any warning, any enemy type, any mission type at any point, but you're much more limited in terms of equipment. So it throws you in the deep end without giving you much choice, like at the very start.
Well, and at the very start, you're forced to do like mining expedition. Like, it really is slow going at the beginning, and I mean, that's a slight wall that some people have to kind of pass through. And this guy clearly he didn't make it. He didn't make it through the wall. But
That's
yeah.
okay because his points are valid, but not necessarily as criticisms.
They're right, but yeah, that I would argue there's probably lots of like recommendations with those exact words, or like not really exact words, but like talking about those
like
points and why they're a positive. Yeah, gameplay loop is fun, and obviously this guy hadn't reached the variety of weapons, so people are probably going to be talking about with overclocks. There's so much variety, stuff like that. Like everything he says is accurate, but it's just I don't know. If he played a little bit more, then maybe he would expand out. But
Ah.
9 is that 9 hours?
I'm not going to hide that. Yeah, he's got 9 hours. He's got So that's just someone who had nothing to say, right?
I guess he just didn't like the game, but he didn't feel like saying why. So he just went.
So he didn't say why. He said A.
Well, exactly. Yeah. He didn't. Yeah. There's not much that can be said about that. I guess he just didn't like it. Then again, I just realised. No, wait, these things are posted on those times. But I was like, oh my god, that guy had like 30 something hours in like a day. But no, I realised
what?
That's not how it works.
You dumb.
All right. I guess that was a breather for the next one. Then I think that's
everyone take a deep breath. The game treats you like an employee for some reason, and in turn it feels like a grind fest, especially if you switch between miners. It takes forever to get one weapon and takes forever to unlock the other terminals. But 30 hours on Xbox and 26 on Steam. To me, it's not that satisfying. Wait, what? So he's actually played quite a bit. To me, it's not that satisfying digging up some minerals and loading them in for eternity. Sure, you can break up the monotony with an escort mission or drill site mission, but again, once you've done it once, you'll be doing it again for 100 times. Oh, swarm, didn't see that coming. Grindfest, no thanks. The worst part to me is when you beat your first swarm. That's basically the same swarm you beat for the next 1,000 hours, except it was slightly longer. Well, you haven't played for 1,000 hours, have you? But yeah, so he brings up sort of the valid points, but he also makes some stuff that I could probably quite easily take down. Like the first point, the game treats you like an employee. Correct.
yeah.
Well done, you understood the one of the main themes of the game.
Yeah, because that's the thing is he does understand the game, but he sees that as a negative.
Yeah. In turn, it was a grind fest. It's not really meant to feel like a grind fest. It's meant to feel like you're doing a job.
Yeah.
It's still meant to be fun as a game, but
it is a grind fest, but it's not supposed to feel like one most of the time.
Yeah. It's meant to feel like a job you want to do, kind of.
Yeah. But
still, you work for a corrupt company still. Takes forever to get one weapon. I mean, I don't know if it does or not, really.
Well, let's be, once again, lower hazards, less, everything's slower. So it's probably... because that's the thing again. You'll be playing on lower hazards at the beginning, so you will be getting things even slower than you would be, if you were better at the game.
But I think once you've done the first assignment, you're a high enough level on at least one class to at least unlock one new weapon.
And that's kind of what he states, that if you switch between the fellas,
it
really slows down.
I think the fact that there's only 4 is probably. I feel like, and it doesn't really encourage it directly, especially considering the tutorial is fixed as one of them. But you're kind of meant to pick one, at least for the start, for a little while. I think it should kind of say that, like, experiment very early on, but then stick with one until you promote it. Like, I feel like they should say that, like, aim for a promotion. Like, that should be, like, something that it tells you pretty early on, because I feel like people might not know about. I mean, I guess, Deep Dive Terminal and Forge, I think it tells you can only access these once you promote it or something like that. But other than that, you really don't know what's coming unless you've watched a video on it or something. Well, I think he knows about that, though, because he said it takes forever to unlock the other terminals. So I think and considering he's got...
Yeah.
Well,
he is promoted. He has accessed overclocks. He's just not fond with the gameplay loop. He just doesn't like it. He thinks it's... too monotonous, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because the next part that's just an opinion. To me, it's not that satisfying digging up some minerals and loading them in for eternity. That's fine. I find the actual digging very satisfying. Like they hitting minerals and breaking them apart. That's they put in the work there to make that feel good. And you can break up the monotony, but I don't know if I want to do an escort duty to break things up.
Yeah, the monotony for me reverse that, right? Like I'd do like a 400 more kite over a fucking escort duty any day. Like,
Or if I really want to fresh,
again,
like, you know,
yeah,
jolt myself, I'll play like a double warning.
yeah. Once again, that's these kind of things. It comes down to opinion, and this person just genuinely doesn't like what the game provides.
I feel like there's a slight combination of slight lack of experience, but also lack of perception in what he says about swarms. Because like the worst part to me, when you beat your first swarm, it's basically the same swarm you've been beating for the next 1,000 hours. It's not just the fact that there are a fair few different types of swarms. Even the fact that you can get the Dreadnought's fairly rare, but you can get that. You can get dedicated Praetorian swarms, Mactera swarms, Swarmer swarms, and Grunt swarms, and Rockport swarms if you play those missions.
That's the thing, because like everything he says is true, but it also isn't, right? Because obviously you're mining the same minerals, and excluding the slight variance in the minerals and the enemies, right? You are kind of fighting the same shit. But that's why it really does come down to the cave generation.
Well,
like I didn't realize how
swarm composition is always
important.
Slightly different, and there's also always differences in the terrain.
Exactly.
The terrain and the environment, as in what's in the biome, and just the terrain, how the terrain's built itself, it always makes differences to how the swarm plays out, as well as what weapons you're using, what weapons your teammates are using, the team composition. There's so many factors that create different scenarios.
It's very hard to have the same thing happen over and over and over again. The game actively, constantly try and mix it up with different cave gens. But like, unless you go for like the same type of mission in the same biome with the same weapons in the same team, and like I don't know, maybe you play driller, you have an engineer in your team, and you like every time you swarm starts, you clear out, flatten the terrain, so you fight on the same terrain every single time. Then maybe it's monotonous, or maybe it's the same thing over and over and over again, right? But just don't do that, right? If it's feeling monotonous, play a different character, right? Or play a different map, do a different game mode, like he says, right? Or stop playing that for that day. Maybe you're kind of just done. That's fine. But yeah, I think it's it's kind of obvious that this guy he doesn't like the game, right? Like it's not for him. Which is fine. But yeah.
It also just completely ignores the fact that there's like robots and boss fights, Yeah. Like, it's not just swarms aren't and machine events, which you probably picked one. Swarms aren't the only type of combat.
Digging up some minerals and like loading them into the thing. That's like 2. That's like 2 of them are mining minerals, right? Like Morkite and a quark. They're like the only minerals you actually like mine and deposit.
Well,
as an objective, I guess. No, it's not mineral.
Yeah, but it's the same deposit time.
No. I'm taking it very literally. I'm having a very bad faith interpretation.
Can we go back to when a quarks were called blue dis? Either way, so yeah, he's got his opinions are his opinions, but he's also got, I think there's some things that he doesn't quite get.
It's something that needs to be stated, that like this is actually that with Steam how they do it. It's not recommended, right? It's not inherently saying that it's a bad game. It's just they wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Obviously, that's what they think. But like,
it's not recommended. It's not the opposite of recommendation, is it? Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. It is obviously inherently a like downvote bad. I don't like that kind of thing. But it is noted that when Steam kind of does phrase it in the way that this is their opinion and they do not recommend it. And clearly this guy agrees with that, because that is not a recommendation. But at least he has his reasons. I'm like, so.
Oh, this next guy who's a bit odd.
Oh my.
Oh
my!
I can't actually fit it all in.
All right, we'll start from the top then, I guess.
Well, it's weird because it's weird because he's leaving a negative review because this game always gets positive reviews. He looks for negative reviews to see what issues people have with the game before he buys. The game's actually great. It runs great. I bought it on accident. What? The main issue I have is that after you have played it, that is it. It's not going to change much. There are a few different match types, mine resources, egg hunt. Pretty sure there are more. Pretty sure.
No, hold on. Look, because obviously he skipped some stuff. First of all,
2.3 hours.
2.5 hours, and he refunded it because he bought it by accident. I guess he was like, "Oh fuck it, I'll play it," and then he refunded it. But
Right,
yeah,
that
so
is
this
important. I did miss those things.
yeah. So continue, but yeah, it needs to be noted that he played this for like no time at all. But he didn't seem like he was really interested in continuing, which is a valued opinion, I think.
There are different difficulty levels. Maps are pretty much all the same. They'll be different, but you'll always be underground. Correct, you're a
That's
miner.
how caves works.
You were digging for the same stuff and finding off bugs. The first round was the same as my 5th round. There are no different planets or anything like that from what I saw. Well, I mean, okay, that sort of annoyed me. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Actually, I want to address it. I want to address it immediately because this is actually one of the smartest things that Ghost Ship did. They didn't just fall into the trap of like every planet's a gimmick planet. Think of how much biodiversity there is on Earth. You know.
Yeah.
How many different environments there are on Earth. It's like they don't want to just do the ice planet. Hoxies can accommodate a lot of different environments, so it doesn't. They don't need multiple planets.
And then it's just better if everything's on one planet. Like, I mean, an example is like Borderlands, right? Borderlands 2, it's just always on. Yeah, always on Pandora, so you kind of grow attached to it. You know what I mean?
But there's
like,
still a lot of different locations.
Yeah, but then Borderlands 3, you're just everywhere. There's just every place, and they are gimmicky as well, you know. And it's just a bit of disconnect. But yeah, no, I think it's not really a valid criticism because essentially it's the same thing, right? It would be identical if you were on an ice planet or you were in the ice area of Hoxies. It would be the same result. You just aren't on a different planet. Like, it's not a valid criticism that there isn't multiple planets.
Yeah. I joined a game where everyone was way above my level, probably the end game guys. They carried me really nice. Well, that's good. At least you had good experience with the player base because that's how it should be. The community is on average quite good. Pretty sure they were running some of the hardest content. They were all decked out with the best gear and weapons. I figured after completing 5 rounds of them, some of the hardest content I would have unlocked more than a beard for my character and a single weapon mod for accuracy. I decided to refund because I meant to buy another game my brother told me about, No Man's Sky. I would have kept this game, but it was the wrong game, and I could tell nothing would change in the game other than me doing very slow grind for a different loadout and some cosmetics. Gameplay-wise, it would always be the same. Other than that, though, the game ran well, the people I played were very helpful and nice. If you're okay with the level always looking the same and just having a different layout, and you're okay with decent... What? Hold on. Sorry about that. I bought all the DLC. Hold on. You bought all the DLC and don't think it was worth the money. All I could tell I got for it was different cosmetics. Now that is stupidity. You don't do that. You don't do that. So clearly it's something going on here because first of all we bought the game on accident. I don't want to I don't want to lay into this guy, but some things are starting to add up. He bought the game by accident and then he buys all the DLC without knowing what they are.
No, I think he must have bought like a special edition of the game, thinking I guess it was No Man's Sky or something.
But he wanted to I think if we're taking it on literally, he's saying he bought the DLC. He didn't say he bought a special edition.
No, but he's not that fucking stupid. I'm sorry, but like he's not buying all the DLC for a game he hasn't played.
You say it must have been a one-step mistake where he just happened to be the version of the game he bought, but he still thought it was No Man's Sky. Yeah, and then he played it all, and then he realised that he bought the DLC, but he doesn't think it was because it was just cosmetics. Well, which annoys me because that's usually the better kind of DLC to me. Well, that means all the gameplay content is in the game.
Yeah, I think that is a way of looking at it, but it's not the way he looked at it. Because obviously, generally most DLC content, at least nowadays, people kind of see as like more content, right? Like,
I feel like surely it's the other way. I think it used to be that.
I suppose it used to be.
Well, we can bring up Borderlands 2 again, which has great DLC, but like about probably more than the base game is in the DLC combined. If you get all the DLC. Yeah,
and there's I'm trying to think of more modern ones. Destiny DLC's actual content. Or Destiny 2 is more accurate, but the DLCs are actually like stuff. Like I think it is. Generally, more DLCs give you actual content than just cosmetics.
That's probably a healthy mix of both. I don't know if healthy is the right word, but it's a mix of both. And there has been but I think the cosmetic stuff has been more recent, actually. But what there was just another point that I really wanted to bring up. It's a lot of there's clearly a bias against it. But obviously he's biased against it because he bought the game by accident, so I don't think he's willing to spend that much time sort of understanding it. But he's very locked into the monotony of it, and like it being very samey, but it's not as samey as he seems to think.
And plus, if he bought all the DLC that he doesn't think is worth it, then even if he did accidentally buy the game, he accidentally bought a way more expensive version, which I assume probably wasn't worth the money for it in his idea. So yeah, because I assume with that amount of time and the day he posted it, he bought it like on Black Friday. Like he literally just bought it, played it a little bit, and then thingy, and it was like half price on Black Friday as well. I'm pretty sure. Like Deep Rock was on a huge sale.
Yeah, it's also just a lot of the stuff here with all the points. It's just very reductionist. He's basically just explaining what the game is, right?
Yeah,
as if it's like wrong. It's just like you're always going to be underground in maps that look the same, but surely that's just the premise of a mining game, right?
Yeah, like really I'd say there's a lot more fucking distinction in Deep Rock than in like Minecraft, and you don't hear people complaining about that.
Well, that's because the caves in Minecraft are fairly monotonous, but Minecraft also has pretty.
I guess they have a surface
generation and biomes, but Deep Rock has biomes too, and they are very visually distinct. The biomes do not look the same. You could show me like a few pixels, and I'll be able to tell you what biome it is.
And then know which type of like quotations dirt it is, like just the ground color.
Yeah. You could show me like the aftermath of like an explosion in the hollow bow, and I'll tell you it's a hollow bow because I can tell that it's carbon instead of slag.
Yeah,
because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's the same argument again though, right? That's something worth knowing. That clearly the repetitive sounds like a bad word, but let's be honest, it's accurate. We like the game, but we still need to acknowledge the fact that essentially you do the same shit over and over and over again. You mine stuff, kill bugs, do objectives, kill bugs, mine stuff, kill stuff, do objective, mine stuff, kills stuff, mine stuff.
But every single mission is different in at least some way, even if it's not a lot.
Obviously, yeah. You kill stuff with different guns. You mine different stuff. You kill different stuff.
But obviously, there's a massive difference between like a 4 egg hunt in the salt pits compared to a maximum length mining expedition with lithophage outbreak and low gravity in like the radioactive exclusion zone or something. It
is I think you mentioned it, reductive as hell to put it down to that level. But in all fairness, with his amount of hours, he's not really going to get more than that level of experience. And I don't blame him, right? No. Like, if it's not the game he wanted to play, and the fact that he wanted to play No Man's Sky, the fact that there is only one planet, that makes more sense now, right? Because clearly he wanted to explore tons of different planets.
I didn't even think about
that. This isn't even that, and as someone that's played No Man's Sky, there's probably about equal variation in looks of places in Deep Rock as No Man's Sky, except that No Man's Sky has some like error planets that are pretty cool. Maybe Deep Rock should do something like that. Well, they already kind of have with the helixes, but
I don't think they want to do an biome. They just lay evidence.
I know, but otherwise it is very similar because No Man's Sky, you will have snow planets, which is identical to snow caves, which I've forgotten the name of. I don't know if you noticed, I haven't said it. And then there's like volcano hot planets. There is desert planets.
Oh yeah.
There's bog planets, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, his argument that they're all the same could be entirely levied against No Man's Sky as well. Not that he's defending No Man's Sky or anything. I'm just saying that his arguments are reduced so much to the point where they're not valuable. They could be said to basically any game that has different places in, and it's just that's kind of it seems to be people's critiques. Like they seem to zoom out so much in the game that they just see it in mine, kill, repeat.
It's born out of his sort of probably being annoyed that he bought the wrong game and also just not spending that much time with it. Yeah. But there's a reason why, though. I feel like most people would probably spend longer before they give their first impressions. But
I feel like this person Yeah, like I feel like if this person actually, like, I don't know, like had a friend who played it, because clearly he was playing it on his own, and I think his brother wanted to play No Man's Sky, so he might play that with him. But like, if he had someone to play it with, like he actually knew, and if like I don't know, he gave it a bit more time, and he actually wanted to buy it, I think he would like it, because obviously he does, right? Like, it ran well, he played with very helpful and nice people, like he had a good experience, it seems.
Huh?
Yeah, should we wrap this up, Harry?
Yeah, no.
No?
Next one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the next. So these two are actually bringing up.
Different
Sorry, I'm
points.
just looking ahead a little bit to see where this is going. No, these next two are fairly similar points. I think the game's pretty good all around. Oh, but pretty all around good. Not a fan of the battle pass and games as a service-esque practices, but the core gameplay is still strong. It's pretty strange.
I also think the forums are moderated by someone who bans people if they have an opinion that differs from his, while keeping people that violate the rules multiple times around. Kind of perpetuates having a niche and toxic community.
What forums is he referring to?
I don't know.
That's what, I can't not point out this guy's name. I don't really want to say it, but look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Is that 10 hours on the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I should point out this isn't a harsh review, but he still brings up some things that I will not even necessarily disagree with, but want to address.
It has brackets of review time, something, right? Like next to the time.
8.9 hours at review time.
Yeah.
10 hours.
So he reviewed it and then played like another hour or so. And once again, the fact that like that means he played it like more like what today, like is a bit weird, a bit sus. But yeah, he's obviously he said he's pretty good all around. So I guess he does like the game. That's probably why he's not a fan of the battle pass and the game as a service thing. But I feel like that's just because he's just assuming it's the same as all the others, which is a pretty
Deep Rock's live service before it was cool.
Yeah, and its battle pass is by far the best. Like it has, I don't know. It's pretty. The main battle pass is pretty stereotypical, if better because it's completely and utterly free. But then they got the tree as well.
Well, yeah, because not a fan of the battle pass thing is slightly shallow because it is different in a few ways. He might just not like that way of unlocking things.
He's just like battle pass bad, game as a service bad, ruins gaming.
It's a games as a service things. Like he can see that it's a live service game, but I think that's leading to the assumption that it's just an incomplete game that they're making as it goes.
Well, that's because that's what like games as a service has become.
Exactly.
And I think it's the same with the battle passes. Battle passes have become.
Didn't pretend that it was complete until it was, or until they were satisfied with it. Even then, I'm not sure if they were 100% satisfied. But they, it was open access.
Continue to add stuff.
It was open access until 1.0, which meant that they were acknowledging that it wasn't finished. They were developing it alongside people playing it. It wasn't a live service. Deep Rock was one of the only games that became a live service after actually being finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the forum stuff is a bit weird. Not sure what forums is on about. Maybe some like niche forum stuff.
People on the Reddit do sort of shoot down things that are criticisms constantly, which I don't necessarily agree with.
But a moderator hasn't ever banned something like that.
I haven't seen that, but it might be Discord. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, or a forum, like an actual, Steam forums, or like an actual, like I don't know, fuck off random site, right? Maybe there's like a forum for people that play it, and the mod bans or something. I don't know, but it's a bit of a weird thing to bring up. Although I assume the fact that he's on Steam, it probably is the Steam forums. So
it's also
if
he's right, it's not good,
Yeah. Although I want to read the last line again, because like I don't know what he's saying here. Kind of perpetuates having a niche and toxic community. So that's not saying. What is he saying, that it is that, and this is continuing it, or is it saying this is something that would make it? I'm not. What's he saying with that?
Both. Or just that it already is. That it already is. It's both. It is both. He
So
probably
he-
doesn't have a
he-
good grasp on what it actually is, but
he does
sees
have
that
the
behaviour
opinion
would lead to that,
that
already
yeah.
has led to that.
Yeah, he does have the opinion that as it stands, whatever forum he is on, the Deep Rock is a toxic community, which is a take. I think that's not something that, ironically, that's something that if you said to the Deep Rock community, they would be quite toxic about. They'd be like, "What? No,
But
we're not."
it's kind of pointing fingers. At least it would be if it was directed at them.
That's because, if anything, I imagine, obviously, the Deep Rock community's foundation is actually wholesome, nice people that do just respect people. But there are people that
No
kind
one
of just
moderators though.
yeah. But there are people that kind of jump on that and we are nice and honest people. But then when it comes to people that actually disagree with them, they do kind of become a normal person that starts fighting back when the ideal Deep Rock person would be like, that's fine, play the game in your own way kind of people, So generally, the community is very nice and pleasant, but that's only because the most pleasant people are quite pleasant, and then it kind of spreads. Which is why if a bit of toxicity comes in, it also spreads. With the whole fairy and gold.
What are you
gold
doing?
debate.
Shut up.
The point is, I like that it called the community toxic because the community won't like that. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
Or, yeah. Well, no, it's just because that's not really the take that most people have, right? Even the last guy was like, yeah, people playing was really nice.
Yeah, but the next guy is sort of the first part of this review, but sort of worse.
Yeah.
Game has unnecessary battle passes and loot box, and if you criticize this on what's a scud?
If you criticize this on their scud, maybe D stands for Discord.
DOG scud. Their shield mods instantly permanently ban you. If you want to make conversation, just make sure it isn't remotely negative or, God forbid, constructive. Single-handedly are preventing me from further supporting this game despite its obvious flaws.
Okay, so this is interesting.
Do we really want to delve into the moderator stuff again? That's the thing.
I'm going to look up what this scud thing is, because this has kind of reinforced my theory that maybe it's a private, or maybe not a private, but it's an Iran Deep Rock site that is actually somehow making people stop playing the game by being terrible.
Anyway, but that first sentence or that first clause is very misleading, because first of all, it doesn't loot boxes. It doesn't have loot boxes in the sense that
I didn't even realize what he meant by that. I thought, what the fuck is he going on about? And there is
exactly because that's what it makes you think of. But he's just talking about RNG loopholes. Like the cargo crate is kind of a loot box, but it's not really what that term means to most people. That would mean something that you open outside of the gameplay that you could potentially buy as well. Most people would probably assume that, and it's sort of a weird thing there. I don't know if he sort of has tunnel vision, or if he just doesn't like RNG unlock systems. It's a little bit difficult to tell. If he doesn't just see Battle Pass and RNG boxes.
He sees Battle Pass, he sees loot boxes, and he's like, "Oh, this is unnecessary. What the hell? Why add this?"
But
that kind
then
of thing.
again, what unlock system is necessary?
Also, how many hours is that?
176.9.
Yeah, so he clearly likes the game anyway. So I agree. I think
it's the
yeah.
foreign
I
stuff.
looked that up by the way on Google. No results, or it's a bunch of random fuck off thing where DRG is some acronym in science or something. But yeah, I don't know what that is referring to. It probably maybe is the Steam. Maybe that's what the S stands for. I have no idea what you could be referring to. But clearly, some mods are actually fucking around and making people not like the game and the community, which is
I don't know if any mods watch. I don't know if any mods watch our channel. There's a chance, but you're not helping by just banning people who want to offer criticism.
Yeah, I think it's
if he's not being misleading, there's a chance that his criticisms were also lathered in vulgarity.
There is something as well that 2 people found it helpful, and 4 people found it funny. I assume we're probably one of them. But
no,
maybe
I'm not signed in on here. I can't actually,
those two other people, maybe they agree. They've been on the DRG Scud. Maybe it's the guy above, and they experienced the banning due to a slightly negative take. Or it's not safe to assume that they were polite about
exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly.
Gripes.
It's possibly the
victimization
in terms of the language.
Yeah, like there's a chance that they deserve to be banned, but it is something to note that's kind of weird because it's weird that they're complaining about it, and clearly this guy liked the game, but that also doesn't mean that they're a good person.
I mean, it's a pretty sort of common trope that moderators tend to be like basically on
power hungry.
Power trip. No, they sort of fall into that.
Yeah,
and not about sort of realizing as well.
Which more often than not, that's on Reddit. So I mean, it might be on the Reddit, but it doesn't seem it. It seems like I think the only mods on Reddit are like Jacob, I think.
Yeah, and assuming that these people were honest and that they were it was just legitimate criticism and not them being like offensive, then the mods, it's like if you're so protective of the game, then stop scaring people away, maybe.
Yeah, like this person has 176 hours, and it was the actions of that mod that caused him to stop playing, not the game or the unnecessary battle pass and loot boxes. And that is it's interesting. Some people that like the game.
I like that this video isn't extremely one-sided because it wasn't. I never intended it for it to be like a mean-spirited us just laying into people who put like bad reviews, and it hasn't been. We've sort of been deconstructing it more objectively, but there's also the other side. We're not. We're more neutral, I think. There's two sides to this, and
I think this guy is interesting because he clearly agrees with us that this game is good and it's fun and it's nice to play. Right? Like clearly he liked it, but something bad happened, which is interesting. And the battle pass and loot boxes is an interesting take on those things. Clearly not seeing the value in them as mechanics to help players play the game for longer, which is what they are.
That's the thing, because he mentions that and then he goes into the sort of the moderator stuff, so that gives me the impression that that's something that he was criticizing. But it's one of the most well handled. It sort of addresses a lot of the criticisms that you could have of another game's battle pass. That's the thing.
And he says despite its obvious flaws, which I'm going to assume that's referring to the battle pass and loot boxes. Either that or is lots of other gripes. But either way, those gripes were not enough to prevent him from playing until this moderator banned him, which is interesting because surely just use another site, right? Like. I guess this people that play on Steam have like their own forms or something.
So there's the other side of this. I don't think moderators should generally be better than this, those that are like this. But at the same time, you should probably have the foresight. Like, moderators don't usually represent the developers. And you should be able to separate a game from its community if you enjoy it. But at the same time, I can imagine not feeling good. I feel like just completely like ignored and pushed away for criticizing it.
Yeah, I feel like that probably is just the straw that broke the camel's back because he's not entirely 100% on the game, and this is not a game that you can play if you're not right. Like it's quite a task to play. So if you're not like 100% on board, then you're going to be like teetering away. And I think this mod basically banning his opinion was just enough to say, yo, fuck this game then. Like, they don't even value, like, I'm not allowed to voice my concerns, which either it was in a completely, justified, like, hey, I don't like this, or it was him probably being, or not probably, it could have been him being completely volatile and the mods were right in doing it. But we don't know the story, but either way, this is interesting. Cool. Longest playtime guy, at least, which was interesting.
Yeah. Move on. Oh. Okay.
Right.
Playing this game is fun, but what's not fun is getting your butt rammed over and over again because your helper drone AI doesn't know what to do and you're down on a solo mission, or just doesn't revive you for 40 seconds, causing uplinks to fail over and over because they won't revive you in time. And whoever thought that failing the uplink once on that mission should make you fail entirely should be fired. Jesus Christ, losing an hour of gameplay because of stupid mechanics is the most gut-wrenching, aggravating stuff I've ever experienced. I would understand more for this game if it was just if it was just bad or just not understanding how things work. However, that isn't the case here. You are told to stand virtually still in an area dominated by enemy bugs, and then told that if you leave or get downed, you fail the whole mission. Absolutely disgusting.
Well, first of all, if either of those two things occur, you always lose. But
He's not wrong about he's making observations.
I like how it's like he's going for like an overall takedown of the game, but it's so clearly that he just lost a fucking mini meal mission, and he's just taking it out on the game. He's like, I fucking had enough. Stupid Bosco, stupid sitting in a point, and he's not inherently wrong. Those missions, once again, I think they're one of the most disliked missions out there, because of this exact thing.
I have criticism of that mission.
Yeah, but obviously this is a very volatile thing, and as you mentioned, an hour of gameplay, and I think that is interesting. If he's referring to that one specifically, I don't know how that took him an hour. It's like, maybe he's not the best person in the world, and that's kind of why he lost, but still, it's funny that this is so clearly a just lost an hour long game, blames everything, stupid fucking game, fuck off, and he left this review. It's pretty funny.
But he kept playing though. He's played 10 hours since that happened.
Yeah, this was 24th, so yeah.
So he
he's
really
still playing.
It was just in heat of passion. It was just
he lost a long game, and he didn't just rage quit. He rage quit and left a review to just like get it out of him.
I don't really want to sort of There's actually this is fairly thin because it seems to just be born out of a rage quit experience. But on the subject of salvage ops, they need to be addressed because having two sections, one after the other, that are exactly the same, and you can fail in exactly the same ways, and they have sort of the same things that make them possibly not fun. It's objectively worse than if they were different. It's fine to have one of them be that, but I am firmly of the opinion that they should change the fuel, the refueling segment to be like a repair thing, like the rock cracker, where it's not a radius thing, because why would it need a radius to just pump fuel?
Especially since the fuel is I'm not sure about this
via a pipe.
But also the fuel is harder, right? Because I feel like we can like easily do the the first one, the uplink, right? And that's not that big of an issue. But then we do the fuel one, and suddenly it's like just harder. There's just more enemies. The enemies are harder, and it's just I'm not sure about that being
confined to a radius becomes much more of a problem.
Yeah, because you really can't do anything, and it is an issue, which is why I think I forgot what they're called.
Salvage operation.
Salvage operation is one of the ones where they should go back and tinker with it a bit, and they have kind of been, right. They added the pipes for the fuel because that was a thing.
But that to me is what would have made it make sense, that you don't have to be in it. It already didn't make any sense. Obviously, law and logic isn't the most important thing in the world, but you can't refuel a drop pod remotely.
No.
So the pipe makes sense, but then it was like, why do we need to be near it? It can get damaged.
The issue then, though, because I think they kind of just did that because, it should logically, we should have a pipe. And we have that mechanic now, we'll add a pipe. But they probably didn't have the time, energy, and weren't willing to actually change how that worked at that point in time. I don't think they were too busy working on whatever they were working on when they did that. Probably season 2, right? I think that was around when the pipes got added. I don't remember. Probably season 1, actually, maybe.
No, it was earlier than that.
Yeah. But it is. They were probably working on other content and they didn't feel like doing it then. If they maybe not even think about it.
It was when they added refineries. Or it might have been the next update. It was either one of those.
I think it was the next update. Because,
the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, so still, I think they were working on season 2 then. I guess. Yeah, working on season 1, which obviously, so they were pretty occupied at the moment.
Yeah, it's also like when I've made this criticism before, I don't think we had the perfect sort of comparison as like to what it should become, but we do now. We didn't have the meteorites before, but the rock cracker is basically those mechanics should be translated onto the refueling process. It should probably be longer. than the rock cracker thing. But
And to
similar
be
to that.
honest with you, I feel like I wouldn't mind getting rid of the whole stay in a bubble thing. Obviously, it's fine for the uplink, but it just doesn't make sense.
That's what I mean. You
It
get
doesn't
rid of it for the refueling and have it be a repair thing instead, where it can get damaged. And
Yeah,
repair it.
get rid of refueling, but I feel like also maybe get rid of it on uplink. It's kind of a terrible mechanic, and it's not fun and doesn't make any sense. Why do some things only work better if people are standing near it?
It shouldn't
Like-
go. If you can fail via dying, then the meter shouldn't go down.
Yeah,
I think that should be that might do it.
Yeah, maybe meter shouldn't go down.
Having one of them would be fine. It would be better
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
other one isn't like that, you know. So it's like
Yeah, but I don't know. I think there is
there
definitely.
you go. There's your salvage operation rework. Go ship. You're welcome. We did it.
Yeah. What it is that I think this guy, obviously this came from a volatile reaction to a very annoying loss, but he does have merit. There is issues in salvage operation, and I feel like if they stopped adding new content, they would go back and realize it and change it a bit. But yeah, I will go to that here because yeah. Point is that that guy would be really happy with a little rework, a little reworky to it.
Reworky.
Yeah. So cool. Is that error?
Okay, so it's like I think we'll probably end it on the next sort of paragraph one.
Yeah.
Maybe. It isn't a bad game, and the developers are good, but it simply is not as interesting or engaging to play compared to competitors. I'm not sure exactly what.
I don't know what competitors
like,
would be.
I think people think Destiny comes up sometimes.
Yeah, well, it depends how it's specified, right?
Yeah.
Horde shooters, you got like Left 4 Dead, the new one, like Blood one or whatever, which I hear is not that good. So I don't think that's competitor. But if they're just referring to games as a whole, then I think it comes down to his opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously he doesn't think it's a bad game. He spent 2.4 hours, by the way.
respectful.
First of all,
Yeah, it's not quite enough for Deep Rock in my opinion.
Yeah,
but it's not nothing, is it? That's enough for you to understand like the atmosphere and the way the game feels to like move around in and how the weapons feel and things like that. But it's not quite enough to get a sense of all of Deep Rock's features. But it's still a very respectful stance. He just wasn't into it, He even recognised that the developers are like, good developers. He's probably heard through good word of mouth and things. Like, he's not an idiot,
And it is something that he didn't return the game because he could have with that amount of time. He still got it, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, so what's like? Do you know what the cap is then? That you can you only refund it within a certain amount of time?
This is basically the time that the other guy had who refunded it for No Man's Sky. It was about, I think, 2.3. So unless it's like a point extra, then I don't know. And he doesn't seem molding that he can't return it either. But I guess it's just I guess he just prefers other games, which is fine. That's warranted. Yeah.
At least he's not shitting on it.
No.
He actually hasn't said anything wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
unlike this guy,
gets boring quick.
All right. I think since there's so little information, we use what we got. 6.7 hours.
8.7. Sorry.
Oh, 8.7. I can't fucking see it.
It's fine.
But yeah, 8.7, which, in all fairness, in the grand scheme of things, that is quick, right, in Deep Rock. And if he's already bored of it, then once again, it's just not really for him, I guess.
There's a potential. I can
things.
definitely see the potential for that. There's like probably like a very dreary period sort of early on for people, I reckon, that we're probably not aware of, where it's like you play most of like the mission types maybe, but you haven't quite got your promotion yet.
Harry, think about it, like all the people we play with, right? I mean, James, obviously we've got him through that. Like he's like, promoted and he's got overclocks, but he's still not that into the game, right? Clearly it's not his thing. But then, we've tried to introduce the Americans to it, my little brother, people like that, right? And it just doesn't stuck. Right, because either it's not their kind of game, or they're in this period, right, where you don't really have anything. Like, I don't know. I think the game could do with maybe just giving someone a glimpse. Like, I don't know, just like because you can't even overclock, right? There's no way of getting an overclock or doing anything overclock wise for like until you promote. So you can't even glimpse at the future of your like play style. But yeah, so it's pretty hard to picture the rest of the game being different from what it is at the beginning because you have no idea.
It could just be RNG as well, right? That he's just not coming.
Yeah,
It could be a combination of him possibly not choosing more sort of difficult missions or possibly not playing with other people, maybe.
Yeah, that's something that popped into my head.
Interesting encounters potentially.
That's something that popped into my head. I imagine trying to get through the early game on your own, it would be boring. It just would be because we did it together. We all got the game and we all played the game and we got past this point by just having fun together on the game. But if this person is on their own, it's probably not that fun. I'm going to be honest, right? Playing that early on in the game with that little equipment, just with you and Bosco, I can't imagine that is that fun, especially to do over and over again.
Yeah. God, I'm already impressed at how much we're able to get from 3 words.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's just like glimpses into people. Obviously, this is a very small glimpse, unlike the next one, right? And this will be our last one.
Oh, well... okay, possibly.
Let's be realistic, Harry. We could probably do another video of this if we wanted to. Maybe
Yeah. We'll just see where it was. We can go from there, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, also, okay, so hold on. This guy's got 155. This guy's got 740 hours.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I read the beginning of it, and you'll see.
Okay. This actually, we might want to do the next one because this is fairly thin. I really like the game, but the fact that the devs up to this point still have not made a simple and easy way to rejoin normal games and rejoin deep dives make me hate the game a lot more than I like it. This review was created 1 minute after getting DLC from a lobby, getting DC disconnected from a lobby where I already was in the drop pod and just waited for the rest of the team to get in, just to get disconnected and get nothing. So,
right, so this is another rage one.
I guess it must be in a way, but it's also something that's probably been an issue for a while. Keep in mind.
Yeah, no, obviously it's been irking on him for a while, and it just happened to him. And he was in the pod, the mission was finishing, and then he got disconnected.
I think I really like the game. Might be, and this is an exaggeration. That might be a slight understatement. As in, I feel like it's quite a lot, but it's like I think you can say I really like could be accurate. Maybe, but still, 740 hours.
Which I think this is pretty cool because this guy loves the game, obviously, right? But his issue, and it's just an issue that I've not really heard anyone talk about, is that you can't rejoin games, really, which isn't inherently true, right? Because you can, you can actually though, you can rejoin normal games. I don't think you can rejoin deep dives.
No,
you can't rejoin deep dives, which is annoying, but
it sort of makes sense. It's that way because you can't join a deep dive during a deep dive.
Yeah,
you should be able to rejoin.
If you already like that, because the thing is like I don't know how they do it, but when you do rejoin an oil mission, right, your character is where you left it, right? You can't change character. You have the same amount of ammo. Everything is like the same. It registers and saves you as a character in that lobby, right? And I assume the deep dives are the same, right? It should allow the person that's already been in there to come back in. But obviously, it seems like technically that isn't how that works. But yeah, I mean, this is an issue. You got to give it to him. I mean, at least the deep dive.
I guess I find it a bit weird that it's such a prevalent enough issue that he's disconnecting so often from normal games and not being able to rejoin them. How that's not just the game, right?
And it was enough to take a guy that has like 750 hours to not recommend the game.
That's not just the game. It might be the other people. Maybe it's the people he plays with. Internet. It might not be his internet, but still. It's not just the game. I'm just saying that, and he's not acknowledging that, but it's not like he's being like it's not like he's throwing shade at the game. He's just pointing out these technical issues that he's getting nerves.
And he didn't actually say you can't rejoin normal games. Just there's not a simple and easy way. So I'm not sure what he means by that. Like, just have like a reconnect button or something, which wouldn't hurt, but it was obviously not a thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting problem that is not talked about a lot, really, that how reconnecting to a game is pretty unreasonable. If anything, that's just because games aren't generally important enough to need to reconnect, really, you know what I mean? Like, it's only like, obviously it's annoying, but it's not like a life or death situation. You're not gonna get like a 6-hour ban for disconnecting. It's not like a ranked game in something.
Yeah. So I guess it would be helpful if we knew how often this was happening, but like,
Yeah,
you don't have responsibility to tell us that. But either way, it's fine because it's not like he's not being not wrong.
no, he's not wrong. He likes
being
the game.
mean-spirited.
Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's just had enough. Just get DC and nothing. Yeah. It's he had enough, and so he made this comment, which is fair enough.
But that's boring. I want someone who makes an unjust, unbased claim.
Oh, he's made multiple. This will be the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be. No.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I had a good time with this game before, but the issues with it starting to get on my nerves. And then the biggest one.
How many hours, first of all?
155, so it's a good amount. Yeah.
More than enough. Yeah.
The game is balanced around multiplayer, so the single-player experience is quite poor. The map can be quite messed up with a lot of vertical drops or almost untraversable terrain, and while you could theoretically fix it, the pickaxe is way too slow and clears almost nothing, and only one of the classes have a very limited way to create terrain. The difficulty ramp is ridiculous. Hazard 2 is extremely easy to the point I barely need to use ammo, but Hazard 3 constantly throws stronger enemies at you. If you fail a mission, even if you did everything and only lost because the drop pod landed in an almost impossible to reach place, you gain very little for all you did.
All right,
Okay.
I want to go through this one by one, but I have
yeah.
obviously come to some conclusions by the end.
Yeah.
Okay, the game is balanced around multiplayer, so the single-player experience is quite poor.
Correct.
I don't think he's wrong. Yeah, I don't think he's wrong. Bosco is a very nice solution, but it clearly doesn't.
Actually, hold on. So the first
Right.
half of that sentence is obviously correct.
Yeah.
But the second half, well, I do disagree with it.
Yeah.
It's not. Maybe it's not as good as it can be, but it's because it's not their main focus. But they still put effort into Bosco, and they still tweak Bosco to make the single player experience better. It's something that they do pay attention to, but it's just not their main focus. It's not how the game was built. The game was built from the ground up to be for multiple people. So at the same time, Bosco has a good chance to be better than any teammate as well.
Yeah.
He just might not be making good use of him. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to assume that he isn't, but that's because of his later statements. Then moving on, the map can be quite messed up. Obviously, this is vertical drops and untraversable terrain, and he thinks the pickaxe isn't the best way of going about it.
That's because it's not meant to be. The pickaxe is for mining minerals and sometimes digging tunnels. It's why you have your traversal tools.
It's interesting that he says only one of the classes have a very limited way of creating terrain. First of all, I wouldn't say it's that limited. Pretty good, you can kind of put it anywhere you want, really. You can create terrain, but like,
is that the only way to deal with it though? No.
I think the most interesting thing about this is the playtime that he has, because the fact that he's come to this conclusion that like. I mean, first of all, just realised grappling hook, right? Grappling hook, his entire argument falls apart if he was using it, but clearly he isn't, right? Then zipline. If he was a gunner main, this would make sense, I would argue. But then again, like vertical drops or untraversable terrain, they're kind of gunners' pitfalls, right? They're not. Untraversable terrain actually is not that bad, but vertical drops would be an issue. Driller is completely fine with both of those, and he talks. The only one he mentions is engineer having a limited way of creating terrain.
Well, we know he plays engineer then. So
yeah, the only one that you've had thought about is engineer, which is I don't know. I guess.
And then we know he's not. We know he's not a gunner main. If anything, he's an engineer main. But
Ooh, yeah, or at least both. But either way, clearly he has not tried the grappling hook and not used the drills.
He's also, and this will be a bit mean-spirited, he's just not very good. And there's a few things here are quite telling because he seems fairly ignorant of the things in the game that you're meant to just make use of. So, and then when you look at the fact that he finds Hazard 3 like basically unplayable, sort of the implication.
2 to 3 was too much for him, and like this is going to sound elitist, but nah, 2 to 3 is not anything. I don't think. And obviously,
I
and
think,
like,
though, I think it is
that-
meant to be though, because I think 3 and 4 are meant to be more similar than 3 to 2. It's sort of meant to be sort of kind of 3 stages where it's like 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and then 5. It's sort of the 3 sort of sections of difficulty.
But I don't know. It's weird that he finds Hazard 2 extremely easy, yet 3 too much.
Yeah, its difference isn't
That's
that
weird.
big, and Hazard 3 just isn't. It's very hard because I'm so. I'm about to say I'm so good, but I play on Hazard 5 all the time, so but.
Yeah, well, I can't.
After 155 hours, I feel like Hazard 3 you should probably be playing on Hazard 4.
Thing is, I would agree vaguely if it was Hazard 4 to Hazard 5, because I do think there is a jump between Hazard 4 to Hazard 5. But like as far as it goes, like yeah, like 4 is reasonable, right? Obviously, it's a challenge for most people, and I wouldn't say it's easy, but I can actually do them on my own, which is I can't do 5s on my own. But then yeah, Hazard 3 and below, just it's so little enemies, right? That like you don't need to worry about like builds. From Hazard 3 and below, builds don't matter.
And if you're good,
arguably 4,
if you're
but
good,
like,
then builds don't matter on 4 either.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can on Hazard 4, I can just sort of be experimental.
Which is why it feels like he has 155 hours in the game. He should have the equipment that would carry him to Hazard 3 and deal with Hazard 3. He should just be equipped enough to kill everything. But he clearly isn't.
It's weird because we don't know, but it's the impression is given that he seems sort of ignorant of certain things. Like I wouldn't be surprised based on these things because he didn't say this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't like upgraded Bosco.
Yeah, and another thing is because this is kind of overall now. We'll get the last point in. If you fail a mission, even if you did everything, you only lost because the drop pod landed in an impossible reach place. You gained very little for what you did.
That specifically is actually valid.
It is. It's valid, but I feel like there are things that previously stated that implies that impossible to reach.
Yes, that's a good point.
Is that he is abysmal with movement in this game. He cannot use his agility tools. I think that much is very safe to imply. And I feel like also the way he says this, because I think this might happen often, that it's such a big issue. It's an equal issue to the difficulty ramp and the traversal, like terrain and like multiplayer, single player. This occurs as often as those things in his list, right? And it's just, I don't know. It does feel like he acknowledges the game's good, but I just think he's just too bad. I think that's honestly the issue here, is that he is so bad that he can't enjoy the game. And that sounds bad, but it's just everything he's saying is just flags that say that.
I think it's a good time to sort of bring up the fact that if any of these people happen to be watching this video, right, this is this isn't about you as a person necessarily. We're just sort of analysing these opinions.
Because obviously
it's like interesting to see the takes that people can have on this game.
Yeah.
Because I think we have some
takes as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's also a good mix here of things that we think are unjustified and things that we think are justified. It's like this isn't really. It's not a character assassination. And if you do see this, feel free to respond.
This one is just the only issue is like other ones that were clearly rage posts. Other ones were clearly not even posts. They were just a letter, right? This one is clearly
Ego ship.
I am too bad to enjoy this game. I cannot use mobility tools. I have no friends to play with. And I can't play on Haz 3. Like it's
the issues with it are starting to get into my nerves now. But on the last point, so you brought up the traversal tool thing, and I doubt
they're
agree.
Impossible, but he's still not wrong.
And it's also never actually it's never technically possible. But
if you have all the characters, you're fine, right?
Well, yeah, you've got a full team because you can just. It's always going to be possible to get Scout in the pod, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's played Scout, Tyler. I don't.
No, I genuinely, right. I think if this guy played Scout and got like a
Scout
good
is
build,
the best for like those hazard levels.
Yeah, no, yeah, Scout is equally as like he is still killing things incredibly easily. If he played Scout and mastered the grappling hook, I think he would all of these issues would disappear. I think he would be like because then single player as a Scout, I think that's quite good, right? I'm not really sure. Well, it'll be rough on a high hazard, but on not high hazard, you'll be fine, right? You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, it just feels like I don't know. Yeah, he's trying to play engineer, but or like because obviously he mentions engineer, but it seems like he has an issue with engineer's abilities. So I'm thinking maybe more gunner or engineer gunner. But yeah, clearly this person I don't know. I don't think he's playing the right character, or he just hasn't mastered the movement enough to be able to do anything. And that sounds pretentious, but he's got 155 hours in the game. He should have a grasp.
These shouldn't be the issues that are like they shouldn't be his issues with the game. Yeah. I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
Damn. I want to give him an award.
Yeah. Right? I thought I heard a knock at the door.
Right.
I couldn't hear anything. So
the real world is it's there. We're not robots.
Knock at the door. He just posted something through the box. Ah, shit. Because from yesterday, she was like, "Oh, did you knock at the door?" And there wasn't one. Oh, I'm probably get shouted out for that. All right. Well, I think that's been us. That's been Barrel Vision, and this has been a bunch of people that don't like Deep Rock, or do like Deep Rock, but have some issues with it.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll look at. See, the thing is, I know that there's going to be no point looking at the positive reviews, right?
Yeah.
Like we could just like look at like the top one. I don't even know how I would do that quickly though. That's the thing. Well, review type positive.
Great give fun with friends.
I guess summary. I don't know. Either way, Deep Rock Galactic's like if going to work was fun. See that sort of contrast to something that someone brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, none of in the negative ones, no one mentions any of the things that sort of give the game more life, like the bar and just sort of the hub and saying something racist about elves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're not. It feels like sometimes it feels like they're not taking in. There's so many like funny voice lines and like all the fantastic music and stuff like that. It's just like, I mean, you know, it's very difficult for us to conceptualize not liking the game, but you know, some of it strikes me as odd. Some of the things that people are sort of ignorant to. You know, there are some people who just play games without music. They just go into the settings and immediately turn the music off before they start playing a game because they don't like music on. And I saw some guy like praising Deep Rock. He was like doing a really positive review video, but he had the music off in the game. He was playing without the music on. I thought, I don't know if I would have really gotten into it if the music wasn't as good as it is. But that was a different time when we got into it, to be fair. The gameplay itself is much better now. But the music has always been as good as it is. You know?
Yeah, I think like I don't think we could ever levy a actual criticism to what's in the game, really, other than like what could be better about the game. Like everything is just universally good as hell. That there's nothing you can point out and say this is the worst thing ever and why I don't play the game, except apparently whatever that forums was. But yeah, I don't know. This was cool. This was interesting. This was fun.
Yeah, we'll probably do it again at some point.
Yeah, or I mean, because obviously we've got like series on Saturdays. So if you just like comment which ones you actually like want to see more than the other ones.
I mean,
if you want to see more Reddit review and that stuff.
If we were bigger, right, I'd hold like polls. You know.
Yeah.
To see like what people like the most, but I don't know. The update retrospectives do well. What other things do we do? We haven't done a tier list in a while, and something else.
We are due a tier list. We're going to do a grenades one probably next week, I'd imagine, right?
We got to do a grenades one properly. We got to redo probably primary weapons at some point, and we got to do warnings, or just mutates in general. We haven't touched those at all with tier lists.
Yeah,
but so if there's an updated one with Lithiphage Outbreak in, you know.
Yeah. The issue is that those would take up these ones.
What's the other thing? The dev Q&A thing as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Well, the thing is I mean, I don't know. We could just post them more days, but
No, but you see, the problem is I'm constantly anxious about running out of content. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. Like, even though it would be so clearly, with the Reddit review,
Yeah, but
we
see,
couldn't.
obviously
We
Reddit review
actually
is
couldn't.
infinite, but like it's not. I think we'd get sick of it. We were going to get sick of it even if it was every other week, which it was going to be,
Maybe, yeah.
So even though it's infinite, it's just like we need things to break it up, and yeah.
Well, we've got all of them now. So whatever you want to see next, we'll probably oblige. Although we might be doing a grenade tier list because we have enough time to use the grenades now, and it's topical.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss the grenade tier list being topical. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think
Holy
that
shit.
was now I'm gonna have to go see what package I didn't
All
pick
right.
up when I should have.
Well, that was what are we going to call this?
I don't know. Have you not made a thumbnail for it?
No.
Oh, all right. This
good at making
is
thumbnails.
gonna be
You're good at making funny thumbnails.
why. I mean, I was gonna do why Deep Rock sucks, but we've already done a podcast on that. Negative Deep Rock comments, something like that.
Looking at bad Deep Rock reviews.
Yeah, something like that. That'll do. It should be probably a series. Just name the
this
video.
This makes us more better than other YouTubers. We're human. You hear the behind the scenes, us struggling.
Yeah, because with that,
Incompetent.
what's it? Yeah, and
Even think of the
unprofessional.
word.
I was thinking of unprofessional. All right.
All right.
There's
Thank you so
words.
much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure to rock and stone, and by rock and stone, I do mean like and subscribe.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
glad that I've sort of
see,
gotten. I mean, it's stupid to point out, but I'm glad that I've gotten into actually being able to say that. It's the rock and stone part that makes it possible, though. If that wasn't part of it, I wouldn't be able to say like and subscribe. Either way, thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.